Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Southern Fried Philosophy Podcast. We are two Southern guys taking on life, liberty, and the pursuit of gravy. We are broadcasting live from the HB5 studios right here in beautiful downtown Concord. I be your host, Biggun, and I'll let you speculate why people call me that. We do have a great show lined up for you, but before we begin, let me introduce to you to the second half of this crazy train. That's right, I'm talking about the pride of Anderson, South Carolina, 2016's honorable mention Father of the Year, the inventor of the redneck egg roll, on old Mike number one. Let's give it up for Mojo!
Hey, thanks, Big, and appreciate you bringing me on in. However you found us, we appreciate you listening in.
That's right.
Who are we and what we are all about, you may ask yourself. The more you listen, the more you'll discover. I'm Mojo, and you just heard from my other half, the second most interesting man in the world.
That's right. Stay thirsty, my friends.
We're just a couple of fun-loving guys who want to share our experiences and perspective on life and whatever pops in our heads, albeit from Southern's perspective, or as we call it, common sense. Besides being an American, Southern by the grace of God, we've had life experiences that offer some unique perspectives on current events and, well, just about anything else. Our show will be a grab bag of topics. We may not all agree on everything all the time, but at the end of the day, we still love each other and love all you guys. So let's get this episode on the road. But let me first tell you where you can find us at. On the interwebs, you can find us at southernfriedphilosophy.com, Facebook, Southern Fried Philosophy, and of course, Instagram and the Twitters, SFP Radio.
The other thing too, we listened to that startup podcast, and one of the things I took away from that is what gives us the advantage. What's our advantage of this podcast? And you bring something to the table that I can't bring, and that's you're a chef, right? How long have you been doing that?
For almost 20 years now.
Wow. And Concord, man, it is growing up like crazy. And there's so many like artesian craft stuff that's going on. On the way in, you're talking about all the different breweries, microbreweries that are coming up, and locally sourced ingredients. And one of the things I like about our idea of this podcast is we also want to get behind the story of the craft. What is the story? Why do people start these things? And really get to know people and understand what's going on with them. And what other podcast has a professional chef? I don't know of any, man. I think you're...
I'm sure there's some out there. We may not know of it, but this is on a local ground right now. And we just want to find out what someone had a crazy idea, and maybe they started in their kitchen or working for somebody else and just wanted to hone their craft and romanticized about working 120 hours a week, and
who doesn't?
And calluses on your feet and everything like that. So there we go. We'd love to find out some more about that and more about the area too.
Well, without further ado, let's get on with it. Up next is Biggun's Best Week Ever. It will involve a one Mr. Jay Billis. You'll want to stay tuned for that. And then after that, we have BSC News. It's our wacky news segment with the Southern perspective. And then last but not least, it's Sweet Tea and Biscuits. It's our interviews segment of the show. We will interview our very own Mojo. You'll want to stick around for his story. It's a really cool one. You're listening to Southern Fried Philosophy, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Southern Fried Philosophy Podcast. This segment is brought to you by Liberal Tears Gun Oil. Make sure you're lubed up and ready to go. Here you go, Biggun.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. So this segment is Biggun's Best Week Ever, and one of the things that I do constantly is listen to a little radio show called Kentucky Sports Radio.
Oh, wait, Kentucky has sports?
Kentucky has basketball. That's all we get.
Is it professional or minor league? Or?
No, it's NCAA. You might have known us because we played you a few times. We got more national championships than Duke, which you're the Duke fan, right?
Yeah, well, it maybe rings a bell.
Yeah,
something about the greatest shot on earth. Yeah, Leitner. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you saw Andrew Harrison's 3-point shots 3 times in a row 2 years ago, but that might have been some of the greatest shooting ever. But anyway, we'll get to our Kentucky and Duke rivalry later. But I did get to listen to Kentucky Sports Radio. Being able to work from home, I've been able to have some flexibility in my job. So one of the things I do is listen to the show. The host is Matt Jones, and he was away. The fill-in was Jay Billis. And Jay Billis is a former Duke player. In the show, he just kept complaining about how horrible the studio was that he was in, saying how hungry he was, that the producer didn't give him any food, and all that kind of stuff. Well, I'll just let you listen to the clip right now.
It's gotten out of hand. Mm-hmm. But a lot of things get out of hand, including your schedule. And I have, I didn't do a lot of on investigating sort of what studio you're going to book, and so now I'm down in a cinder block dungeon doing KSR, and I'm thrilled to be on KSR. I'm not thrilled that you didn't do any preparation work nor find me a studio where I could look out the window and see some vegetation or see a way out while Matt Jones is vacationing at Ipanema Beach in Rio de Janeiro, and I'm in Studio 1C, which the C stands for "may never see you again" type of deal. Because I should have dropped breadcrumbs or something to find my way out of here.
We'll come rescue you at the end of the show.
But not before.
No,
I'm going to do my work, and then maybe you'll come rescue me.
We're going to make you stick around for another 45 minutes, then we'll send in the rescue crew. Let's take another call.
So when I heard this, I thought one of the things I should do, being in Charlotte, North Carolina, that's where he was recording from, I was going to call a producer and say, hey, Shannon the Dude, that's the producer, I want to go get Jay Billis some food, one, to shut him up. And so I got the address from Shannon, took off as fast as I could go. I'm thankful there were no cops on 85 because I was...
That's a miracle.
I was flying, trying to get to the cookout. Got him the hamburger, the fries, and the corn dog. Got to the iHeart radio station, and I tell you what, that place was locked up tighter than, well, a lot of things, but I'll say Fort Knox.
Fort Knox.
They had the high fences, the badges, the security guys. The guys with AR-15s were like all around. You could not get into this place. But, no.
Did you use your Spidey skills?
I didn't climb over the fence. I just waited for a car that was going into the radio station, and I just went behind him.
Your ninja skills.
You're exactly right. I got through, and then I deployed some of Matt's telltale signs of getting into places that you should not be in. And that's one, very important. This is the key. If you're ever going to try to sneak into a concert, a theater, anywhere you should not be, do this one thing and you're in. Act like you're supposed to be there.
Fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it. That's what I do in my marriage, and that's what I do on the show, and so that's what I did here. Also, a couple of other things you could do is you could just wear a badge. You can make your own badge and act like you could do there. Wear a vest, especially like the kinds that people use when they're mowing the yard.
Like a reflector vest.
Reflector vest,
okay.
There you go, exactly. Carrying a clipboard. It doesn't even have to have anything on it, just a clipboard and a pen, and I think you're good to go.
Yeah.
You can just walk in anywhere. I think that's actually how some of the people walk in the White House.
I'm sure, yeah.
They just carry a clipboard.
Or they print up that badge that says press on their home computer.
And $5. So I got through the scratch security at iHeartRadio, and I tell you what, I was in Disney World at that point. Drool was coming down my face. Suddenly I became slow. I don't know what happened there. I just could not even hardly walk down the aisle. I was so excited. And
so basically you were walking into your bromance.
Oh, yeah. It was a complete bromance. And I also get really... I don't know, do you ever get, starstruck with people?
Oh, absolutely. Only one guy, and that would be Mike Krzyzewski. But
So you met Mike?
I did.
Wow.
6 years ago.
Huh. Well, we'll need to visit that later. I get starstruck with anything. In fact, when I was a kid, the weatherman used to live 5 houses down, and I would get so excited to see the weatherman. I'd be like a giddy little schoolgirl.
He's the weatherman! Yeah, he's a public guy.
Yeah, so even today, so I saw Jay... peed in my pants and walked out. And so here is Jay giving me some credit about bringing him some food.
Jones, who is in Walvis Bay, Namibia. It's on Namibia's Skeleton Coast, and I was a little worried that I was going to be a skeleton down here in Studio 1C in Charlotte, North Carolina, that is akin to a dungeon. You can get down this dungeon only by rope ladder, and I had been staying alive only by sipping some water that's clearly been down here for a while out of a ladle, and a bunch of mosquitoes around it. But some sustenance arrived because of my incessant complaining.
Yeah.
JT went by a cookout and brought me a corn dog, a burger, some fries, and a sweet tea. So right now I am fighting the rats for this corn dog and knocking some of them away, but I'm able to get a bite in here and there while they are sort of nibbling at my ankles, while Matt Jones is having a fruity drink with an umbrella in it and enjoying his vacation. And Shannon the Dude, I got to tell you that just me putting out some whining and complaining and. Yeah. Balled up in the fetal position here in Studio 1C, was able to get more action than all of your preparation for the show.
I know it, man.
It's that should be a lesson to you, that if you put in a little bit of effort, you can actually get something accomplished.
Or if you complain a little bit, you'll get something accomplished. How about that?
Yes, and that's the first time the complaining has actually done me any good. It hadn't stopped me from doing it just in my daily life period. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that was JT. I can't thank you enough. That was wonderful. We got a nice photo, and we were able to Photoshop in some sort of background so as not to shame this wonderful radio facility that.
And so that's Bigguns' best week ever. And thanks for letting me tell the story.
No, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I've been wanting to hear that all day, so you kind of held it back as a surprise.
So when we come back, we are going to have BSC News. And what does that mean? We'll tell you when we come back. You're listening to the Southern Fried Philosophy Podcast. All right, we're back. This is the Southern Fried Philosophy Podcast, and this next segment is what we call BSC News. And what does BSC stand for? Bat Crazy! That's right, BSC, Bat Crazy. So this is just some odd news, some funky news that we've got going around the world. So here we go.
Ooh, baby, it's making me crazy. It's making me crazy. Every time I look around. 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 It's in my face.
All right, so the first one out of the gate. You might like this. Something really methed up this burrito.
Oh, what is this all about?
What could this be about? Burritos can be filled with all sorts of things. Beef, chicken, rice, avocado, or veggies. But one thing you shouldn't put in there, methamphetamines.
Note taken. Note taken.
If you're going to smuggle drugs, don't do it in a burrito.
I don't think that's on the Taco Bell special, is it?
It actually probably is.
Okay, yeah.
I do have a sickening love for Taco Bell breakfast, by the way.
Well, who doesn't? The little Cinnabon bite
sweet
things are good.
cheese.
Yeah, those are good.
They own me like none other. That's why I'm still biggin', is because of that Taco Bell breakfast. Anyway, after a drug dog sniffed out the presence of drug in a bag, officials took a peek. One of the burritos had no guacamole, carne asada. Is that how you say that? Carne asada.
Yeah, carne asada.
Or pico de gallo, but it did have about 1 pound of meth, by the way.
Was it called the Heisenberg burrito?
It should. I don't know if it was blue though. That
Not the
would have
high
been,
quality stuff.
that would have been a dead giveaway.
That's right.
A blue burrito. It was estimated to be worth $3,000. The lady that got busted though. Said that she was going to be paid $500 to deliver that thing.
So she wasn't getting her street value of the burrito.
Not at all. But hey, buddy, I guess it would kind of make sense if you had a bunch of burritos walking over and you get a little munchie out of it.
Well, I'm sure there's a local buffet somewhere nearby there.
So the other thing that's funny about it is recently they also confiscated this same month is 1,432 pounds of marijuana inside of 2,000 coconuts.
You know what? I bet they didn't catch from the meth burrito. They probably did not confiscate a toothbrush.
You're right.
I'm willing to bet.
That was not in her repertoire or her bags of things she was trying to smuggle
That's right.
across is a toothbrush. So yeah, they also confiscated the marijuana in the coconuts. You put the marijuana in the coconuts, mix it all up.
Yeah.
And 20 kilos of Coke.
Colombian Bam Bam.
Coming in from frozen fish. So there you go.
This is from Lyon, France. Or Lyon, sorry.
Lyon.
A suspected drug dealer facing trial in France tried to pay his €500,000, that's 559,000 US bucks, in cash. But he ended up behind bars after prosecutors objected to the payment in $1,000 banknotes smelling of glue.
Uh-oh.
How he was caught when 29 people showed up with envelopes of cash, all had glue residue. Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't say that. Residue on it. So, note to self, the guys taking buckets of pennies to pay speeding tickets and stuff like that. Well, I guess you can count glue off of dollar notes now.
There you go. I don't know if you heard about this or not, but a Kenya court rules that exams to test for sexual orientation are legal. So there's a test that you can take in Kenya to prove if you're homosexual or heterosexual.
So reading, writing, and
anal probes.
Yeah,
so a Kenyan court has actually upheld the use of anal examinations on attempts to determine a suspect's sexual orientation. Hey, you may not be able to use the bathroom here, but you don't get sentenced in prison for 14 years for being homosexual.
That's nuts. No pun intended.
That's what happens in Kenya.
Wow.
It's illegal. 14 years in jail.
Wow. I guess I'm betting there's no LGBT community activists there.
No.
Okay.
I would probably say not. Also, interesting to note, the examinations also include Cameroon, Egypt, Tunisia, Turkmenistan, Uganda, and Zambia. So if you are part of those LGBT communities, probably shouldn't go there for vacation.
Yeah, I would probably write that off the timeshare.
Yeah, so that has been our BSC news for you. All right, when we come back, we're going to do a little segment that we like to call Sweet Tea and Biscuits. What is Sweet Tea and Biscuits, you may ask? Sounds delicious. We will let you know when we come back. All right, we're back. This is the Southern Fried Philosophy Podcast, and this is a segment that we do like to call Sweet Tea and Biscuits. What is it that you may ask? It's just a segment that we can do where we get to know our guests a little bit more. Nothing is off the table, just like these biscuits. We get to make things as uncomfortable as we can. The only difference between you and I is we get to eat biscuits and drink sweet tea. We actually do have some biscuits, and they were brought to you by Bojangles.
Buttery flaky.
So on this episode of Sweet Tea and Biscuits, we're actually going to interview you.
What?
Yeah, I know. Crazy. I want the audience to get to know you a little bit more. And
Just kind of a love affair that's developing over the waves.
we've got a bromance going. Mojo, tell us a little bit about your story. Now, I know you could go for hours. When
I'll spare you the nonsense.
when my wife and I have conversations, I say, I need you to give me the man version, which is, I don't need to talk about this thing for an hour. Just give me the highlight. But I can give you a little bit more grace. Give me a short synopsis of your story.
Well, just like my high school career, I use Cliff Notes. So I'll give you the Cliff Note version.
Okay, great.
Little thing about me, 12 years old, I had cancer. So, fast forward a few years, at 19, I got married.
You got a boy?
A few years later, we adopted a beautiful daughter. And then a few years after that, we had our other daughter. So I have a kid that's 4 years old and one who's 12.
Hey,
and
buddy, she's a handful. I love her.
Which one? The 12-year-old? Yeah, she's going through the brutal tweens.
Gotta love it.
Yeah. The 4-year-old, yeah, she's a handle too. I mean, she's in the superhero stages. So one minute she's a princess, next minute she's a superhero.
That's great.
My career, chosen career, was I was a chef. I was known as the tattooed biker chef. Opened up some restaurants and had some restaurants in the Greenville, South Carolina market. 2010, had congestive heart failure and got out of the restaurant business. They didn't really give me too much longer to live, so wanted to focus on the family and do some things that we wanted to do. And when you have that perspective of living to die, you want to do the things that you put on your bucket list
Sure.
when you're much older. So, and then 2016, March 26th of this year, I got a heart transplant.
That's crazy.
So here we are, a few weeks later, in the studio doing a podcast when I thought I'd be 6 feet under taking a dirt nap. So
Wow.
what can I say? Much respect to my donor and his family, and thoughts and prayers still go off to them. But
Sure.
that's just a little bit about me.
So you mentioned that you had some restaurant experience. So what has been the most interesting business venture that you've been in?
I did two things. I actually owned a health food store one time, and I enjoyed that because I enjoyed the eating healthy and nutritional and
I would not be in that store. We would have not crossed paths there.
but also at the time was a vegetarian and decided to open a steakhouse. That was an interesting venture. Obviously, I wasn't a vegetarian for moral reasons or ethical reasons. I was just a vegetarian because I just decided to try that.
Wow. How did that work? Like you went from tasting bacon to not having bacon.
Look, hindsight's 2020.
Right.
It was probably the worst 7 years of my life. Now I wish I could get that back, but
Sure.
because that has been some massive cheeseburger carnage. But
You would have taken out a cow or two, right?
I'm making up for it now. I try to eat an extra meal every day. Some type of protein. So
Sure. You said you were the tattoo chef, right? Is that
right.
So what was your first one that you got?
Ooh, actually a shamrock. Yeah,
Are you allowed to say where that's at?
It's on my ankle.
Okay.
It was,
All right.
it was. I was just turned 18 that day and went to the local tattoo parlor and got scratched on, and it was actually here in Charlotte.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, that started the dark side movement.
What caused the shamrock?
Well, I'm Irish, Irish heritage.
I couldn't tell.
I mean, granted, I'm not wearing like a green leprechaun outfit or have potatoes
should.
hanging from my backpack or anything like that.
I would love you to dress up as a leprechaun.
I could probably work that out.
Can you make that happen? You lived several places before, right?
Yeah, pretty much anywhere below the Mason-Dixon line, but I have spent some time in bigger metropolitan areas working, but mainly here in the South, Virginia, North Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia, South Carolina, of course.
What's been your favorite city?
I've always had a fondness for Charlotte, Charlotte, Concord, any of the surrounding greater Charlotte area, but I do like Chattanooga. I do like Knoxville. But, talking about the Mason-Dixon line for a second, this is a sideway thing, but I think they need to move this Mason-Dixon line to, like, Raleigh, because anything above Raleigh is not the South anymore. They have no Southern grace, no Southern hospitality. So
you think that's the line right there? Is Raleigh?
I think they have to, because we're in Virginia. Oh man, it was not the South.
So if you go north of North Carolina, and then right before Virginia, and then just cut over, what's that? Let's probably get a map.
Yeah, that would be useful about right now. But
Yeah. We don't have one.
But Virginia, you're so close to the Beltway. Eastern part of Virginia, you're so close to D.C. and the Beltway.
Oh yeah.
That corruption just spills out.
Yeah.
So
it's a cesspool of libertarianism up in that area. So we don't. I just want to make sure Kentucky's still in that.
Well, we would always have Kentucky. I mean, that's the birthplace of bourbon. What are you talking about?
Oh, that's my jam. All right, so you could have one meal at any restaurant. Where would it be? And with who?
Oh, man.
Put you on the spot on that.
That is a spot. It would probably have to be the thickest, nastiest steak. Well, not nasty as in nasty bad, but just buttery, herbed up, salted, peppered, juicy, tender to the last bite. Probably like Ruth's Chris, or they do a phenomenal steak. But I would love to talk to Mike Krzyzewski again. He was just he's like the uncle that you always wanted. So
No.
I bet you would love him too.
No, he looks like a devil. He honestly does.
But that's okay though.
No.
But that's okay.
He's scary looking.
What, the wild kitties? I mean, is that any better?
Well, I mean, it's Calipari. I feel like he would be my crazy uncle. But Krzyzewski, I feel like Italian uncle, but I'm not Italian.
Yeah.
But he just looks like the mascot, which kind of freaks me out.
That's okay. I'm telling you, he's the nicest guy in the world.
Well, we'll have to beg to disagree. Well, he probably is. I just don't, and I respect him as a coach.
Yeah.
But those Dookies. All right, so here is the question that we're going to ask everybody when they come in and do Sweet Tea and Biscuits: is what is your spirit food? Your spirit food.
I have so many. It'd be a cross between barbecue, like beef brisket, pulled pork, or something like that, or sushi.
Oh.
Love some sushi.
We tried to eat sushi the other day.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We were together.
to
That's right. Asian Cafe here in Concord.
Here in Concord. I tried it. I couldn't do it.
Well, it wasn't nothing against the Asian Cafe. It was just
right.
not your
it's
bag.
It's not my thing. But you had it deep fried. I might like it deep fried.
Well, everything's better deep fried, right?
This podcast is
That's
better
right.
deep fried.
Oh, I saw someone deep fried water the other day on YouTube.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Well, I think he made like some type of gelatin type substance, and it was just water and gelatin or something like that. And
Horse hose.
he battered it, fried it.
Battered horse hose is what it was.
Probably so, yeah.
A future glue stick.
That's right.
That's gross. I would never do that. Like, if you had the choice of deep frying a Twinkie or water, like, why?
I guess this rocket scientist was really bored this day.
Good gravy. That's awful. All right, well, that was Sweet Tea and Biscuits. That about ends the show, man.
This was fun.
Yeah? We might have to do this again sometime?
Well, we can do this another time, I guess. I have to ask my parole officer.
All right. Well, you're listening to the Southern Fried Philosophy Podcast. And don't forget to check us out at www.southernfriedphilosophy.com. You can also check us out on Twitter on SFP Radio. Twitter's, the Facebooks. Listen, we've got 50 Facebook friends right now. And
It's pretty amazing. We not even had our first podcast out.
If we get 10 more, we will have, like, world domination.
That's pretty close.
So we need you to go out, our listeners, and like the Facebook page, and then we'll get the web page up running. And until then, just tweet and
Communicate with us.
Yeah, that's right. You're listening again to the Southern Fried Philosophy Podcast. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
We'll be back. Actually, we won't, because we're done.
Just like me, sweet, buttery, and flaky.